So, I mentioned earlier, this is like one of the most unique, if not the most unique Easter celebrations since the first one. And it's left a lot of people asking questions. And one of the questions that I keep hearing from Christians and unbelievers, seekers as well, is the simple question, where is Jesus? This is not new. This question is not new. But I hear, where's Jesus when this virus invaded a human being for the first time? Would he doze off or something? Where was he when my mother deserted me? Where was he? Where was Jesus all those nights when my dad hurt me? Where's Jesus when my daughter died? Where was he when my friend didn't die, but existed in a coma for years? Where's Jesus when evil persons gain power in the governments? Where's Jesus when essentially helpless people gain power in government? Where's Jesus when I'm struggling to pay my bills? Where's Jesus when I'm seeking to be success and everything doesn't work? Everything falls apart. Where is Jesus? Where is he? Where is Jesus? About 2,000 years ago, a closely knit group of women thought they knew where to find Jesus. They watched his crucifixion on Friday afternoon. They saw men put his lifeless body in a tomb. They knew exactly where Jesus was. But Luke reports that very early on Sunday morning, the women made their way to the tomb, carrying the spices they had prepared. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Joanna, and Mary, Jesus' mother. Arriving at the tomb, they discovered that the huge stone covering the entrance had been rolled aside, so they went in to take a look. We heard earlier in one of our Bible readings, I think they were relieved, because one of the things they've been wondering is they knew where to find Jesus. He's behind a big rock and we don't know how to move it. And then they get there and the rock's moved. Excitement. They went in, but the tomb was empty. They thought they knew where Jesus was. The body of Jesus was gone. They stood there, stunned and perplexed. Where's Jesus? Parents, you know this with your little ones. The moment they begin to crawl and toddle and walk, and they no longer are in the same place where you put them down, when you turn around and then this is what they were experiencing. We know we saw him laid in this tomb. And dead people just don't get up and walk around. Where is Jesus? Suddenly, Luke goes on to say, suddenly two men in dazzling white robes, shining like lightning, appeared above them. Terrified, the women fell to the ground on their faces. The men in white said to them, why do you look for the living one in a tomb? He is not here, for he has risen. In other words, you're looking for Jesus in the wrong place. And they went on to say, have you forgotten what he said to you while he was still in Galilee? The Son of Man is destined to be handed over to sinful men, to be nailed to a cross, and on the third day he will rise again. Don't you remember? I'm just going to pause. Just think about this for a moment. As we read through the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they record Jesus telling his followers, his closest friends, over and over and over again, the day's coming, I'm going to go to Jerusalem, they're going to arrest me, they're going to try me, they're going to crucify me, I'm going to be dead, but don't panic, I'll be back. And every single time, I think it just went right over their heads. I know the first time Peter decided to take Jesus to the side and correct him. So you really don't know what you're talking about. You may be the Messiah, but you don't know how the Messiah is supposed to act, so let me tell you. He got in trouble for that one. I think that just shut down the conversation after that, because everybody still agreed with Peter, but they didn't want to disagree with Jesus because, they'd get in trouble. So here come the angels saying, okay, don't you remember what he said? And Luke goes on in verse 8 and says, all at once they remembered his words. Leaving the tomb, they went to break the news to the 11 and to all the others of what they had seen and heard. And when the disciples heard the testimony of the women, it made no sense. And they were unable to believe what they heard. It made no sense. Dead people stay where you put them. It made no sense because, they were women. And they just babbled. First century culture. I'm not saying that's true. That's just what they thought. Truth of the matter is, even in court, women weren't allowed to testify. They just didn't trust them. And yet here come these women, and they're saying, he's alive, he's gone. And all the guys are going, yeah, right. But Peter jumped up. It tells us in verse 12, he jumped up and ran the entire distance to the tomb to see for himself. Stooping down, he looked inside, discovered it was empty. There was only the linen sheet laying there. Staggered by this, he walked away wondering what it meant. Can you imagine Peter walking away from this empty tomb, scratching his head and wondering to himself, where is Jesus? Where is Jesus? Where is he when everything goes wrong? Where is Jesus when we're left scratching our heads and wondering, what is this world coming to? Why isn't Jesus where I thought he was and where I thought he ought to be? May I make a suggestion? I'm just going to offer this up for you to ponder. But could it be that we need to hear the angels say to us, why would you look for the living one here? He is not here. He is risen. Well, what if we've been looking for Jesus in all the wrong places? I'm going to show my age. Some of you have never heard this song before. Some of you remember hearing it on an oldie station a long time ago. And some of you remember it from when you were growing up. And the thing that shocked me this week was when I looked up the lyrics, I discovered it's a country song. Me. Wow. Who would have thought? But there's the chorus of this song goes like this. Some of you are going to recognize this, right? I was looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces. Now the song kind of documents this guy's search for true love, and he finally finds her, the one he'd been looking for, and realized he'd been looking in all the wrong places. Well, I think we can agree that we haven't found Jesus in our search for the reasons behind our pain and suffering. When we start looking for the reasons and going, why, I think we're about as likely to find Jesus as women looking for his dead body in a cemetery on a Sunday morning 2,000 years ago. What if Jesus isn't found in our search for reasons, or what if he's not even found in our neatly worded creeds and our answers? What if Jesus is actually found in our questions and in our doubts? What if our unanswered questions and even our doubts don't disqualify us from trusting Jesus, but actually make it possible to trust him? Instead, what if questions open the door to a deeper, richer trust and faith in Jesus? Some of you are uncomfortable with what I'm saying. That's okay. I want to point a couple of things out to you from the Bible. For one, if you've listened to me or heard me talk at all, you know that I love the Psalms, and one of the things that I love about the Psalms are the questions. Pointed questions that flood the Psalms. Where are you, God? Why aren't you doing something? Are you taking a nap? It's in there. Questions flood the Psalms. So questions aren't the problem. Even asking pointed questions isn't the problem. It's a help. I also want to point out